The rule of six is over a period of time, you build up a number of businesses that you have acquired.
Okay.
And for the sake of convenience, we're saying six. It could be any number, but let's just say six. It's a good number. It's something that you can achieve in an 18-month, 2-year period. And those six businesses are managed by other people. So you are not the operator of the six businesses, you're the owner. And the six businesses cash flow positively to you to different levels. So one might be a small business where really it only pays out £1,000 a month to you.
Okay.
Another is a larger amount. Another can be larger still. But all six businesses cash flow something to some degree. So they all contribute, and ultimately it adds up to a better number than just owning the one business that you currently own.
Yep.
Now, that cash flow is excellent. We want that. But the ideal scenario is that every year or so, one of those businesses is sold, and that creates the liquidity event that you were referring to in the question. And the liquidity event is the private equity way of saying you sell a business and you bank lots of money.
Okay.
6 to 7 figures, should be. So what most business owners have the opportunity to do is very limited. Their opportunity is restricted to owning one business that may or may not have a good month, have a good quarter. You have a seasonal dip. Sales go down after Christmas. Sales go down in the summer. So all their eggs are in one basket. And this business may or may not perform. And it might have a good year. It might have a bad year. So it's high risk owning one business. Owning six, low risk. Because if one doesn't perform, you've still got the other 5.
Yep.
2 don't perform, you've still got the other 4. And what most business owners do is that they wait to around retirement age, and then they say, I'm going to sell that business. And the grim truth of this is that they hope that the sale of that business will create enough money to last the rest of their life.
Sure.
Sad but true. The chances of that happening are very slim because most people's businesses aren't worth what they think they are worth. The market decides the value. The market says this is what it's worth and this is what we'll pay for it. You can either accept it or not accept it. Is that sum of money going to be large enough to last another 20, 30 years? Probably not. Rule of 6, 6 businesses, sell one every 12 months or so, replace it with another one. So now we've got this rotating group of 6 cash flowing companies. Liquidity event every 12 to 18 months. Doesn't matter if it's the deal of a lifetime because you've still got 5 other businesses you can sell.
Sure.
It takes away the risk.
And presumably you can, with the rule of 6, be selling a business at a time when you don't really need to sell it. Whereas in your scenario...
Absolutely right.
By the time you get to retirement, it's
The worst time to sell a business is when you need to sell a business. Where if you've got 6 businesses and someone approaches you and says, I'm interested in your packaging company, well, let's get them to table an offer. And it doesn't have to be the once-in-a-lifetime deal because you've de-risked your business life by having a number of businesses. Yeah. I mean, it makes perfect sense. If we were talking about property and we said, just buy one buy-to-let property and that's all you need. No one would ever give that advice and no one would ever take that advice because it's terrible advice. You would say, let's have a number of buy-to-let properties. Some will go up in value more than others. If you've got one that's void, one that's empty, then you've got the others are still bringing in the cash to cover that void period. So it makes perfect sense when it comes to property. So why do business owners, and it's a rhetorical question because I'm going to give you the answer, why do business owners just have one business? Let me give you the answer. It's because they are operators of the business and they're heads down operating the business, and the idea of having a second business is crazy to them because they think I can operate, I think I've got to operate 2 businesses or 3 businesses.
Busy enough
No,
as it is,
if you're going to this is what I've started saying to people at seminars, and I want to repeat it here because it's worth repeating. If you're going to be in business, you've got two options. You can do it the hard way, or you can do it the fun and easy way. The hard way is you turn up at the office every morning, first in, last out, turn up at the weekends to do the work that you didn't do in the week because the weekends are quiet and that's the only time you can get some work done. All these silly things that people do. And to be fair, I've done as well. So, I've done it the hard way, and I know which way I prefer. But if you're going to be in business, why don't you use those entrepreneurial skills, that get up and go, that drive that you have, to actually do something that is more significant than owning one business that may or may not have a good month? Why would you do that? And if you're going to be in business, choose the fun, easier way of being in business. And I know why some people know that. They say, well, that's almost too easy. You just buy these businesses and other people operate them. What would I do all day? I'll tell you what you do all day. You'd look for deals and buy more businesses, and you'd have your board meetings with all your MDs, and you'd look at growing your group. I mean, it makes absolutely perfect sense. But people don't know how to acquire companies in a smart way. They think that it requires lots of their own cash. They think they have to borrow money from the bank. And this is what this podcast and our seminars and our mastermind group are all about. It's about educating people to do it the smart way.
Brilliant. And going back to the fact that it was a follow-up question, nothing that you have said would prevent you from benefiting from the synergies of those companies that you have 6 of at any one time.
You're absolutely right. The synergies are going to happen naturally. I have a colleague who, when he buys businesses, he puts them all in the same building. He actually owns the building as well. So the business also pays him rent as well as gives him some cash flow from each company. He's got 40 businesses in one building on an industrial estate. And you walk down the corridor and every door goes into an office containing a business that he's bought from a retiring business owner. And one office at the end of the corridor does the accounts for all 40 of the businesses.
And as individual businesses are sold, makes no difference to that?
No. The office empties because the new owner relocates the business to their own site or whatever it might be, and then he goes and looks for another business to fill that office.
And then the accountant's in the little room at the end.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's fun. Yeah. Where most business owners are drained of energy, they're beaten up by their customers, their staff, their suppliers on a daily basis, and they fall out of love with the business. This is a way of giving your business life variety. It's what you set out in business to do. You can build your empire as large as you want, and you don't get involved in the filing system and the CRM system and all that nonsense that business owners get dragged into because they have forgotten why they own the business in the first place, and they've turned into a manager, which quite frankly is a salaried position that someone else should be doing, and they'll probably do it better than you anyway.
Got you.
That sounds like a bit of a rant, but I'm very enthusiastic about this. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button and click here to watch more videos about buying a business.